So today we're going to cover this company called Comcast Corporation. The ticker is CMCSA. The industry is cable TV. Now, we've never covered cable TV industry, but we covered like related industries, okay, with the streaming services before. Now, of course, guys, before we start, disclaimer that you understand that it is educational webcast, right? Not recommendations. And let's have a look first at cable TV industry. Now, first of all, it's very high level of competition in there. And at the moment is a price war there because people are switching. They're not that loyal to one company or another. It's very easy to switch. So, and there are a lot of competition. So online streaming services like Netflix, Disney, and others. In every country, there are many companies which provide this service. Now, then there are satellite services, and interesting enough that satellite services, they have certain disadvantage compared to the rest of the businesses, because satellite service, first of all, the speed of the download speed and upload speed is not as fast as I would say cable or broadband, right? It's much slower. And also, if the weather is bad, so it affects the satellite transmission as well. And this is, people usually watch their TVs when the weather is bad. If the weather is good, they might go out, do something outside. But when the weather is bad, storm, snow, whatever, right? So they stay at home and watch TVs, and that's where the satellite service might be disturbed. Okay, so and that's why it's not so good. And companies actually are losing their revenue and their share in that particular business. Now, then telecom companies like AT&T, Verizon, where they provide mobile services, but also they provide some streaming services and TV services and broadcast services as well. So they can be acknowledged as competitions, even though they are not in cable TV industry. And that, of course, broadband providers, because every broadband provider, when they connect you with the broadband, after that, they try to upsell you different services. Sometimes it's affiliate service with other businesses, but sometimes they have certain agreements and they have certain their own, like say, channel which they want to broadcast. Okay, and that's why it's a lot of competition. Now, whatever I read about this particular industry, and I presume especially cable TV industry, is it depends, the amount of new subscribers, the growth of that industry depends on the amount of new households. So if the, let's say, economy is good, everything is great, and they're building new houses, people moving into new houses, there are more tenants coming in. So when they move to new house, that's where they try to connect to certain services. Just think about yourself and how you do it. Very often, if you have certain service and you subscribe maybe for that years, and most likely you're not going to change it, like, because there is no trigger for that. But when you're moving to another location, you disconnect your previous services, and when you're moving to another place, you kind of review what you had before, and you might find something else. So that's where people usually switch from one provider to another provider, or upgrade it, or do something about that. All right. So that's why at the moment, for the last like 6 months, the movement into new households was reduced, at least in the United States, and as a result, their projections for the next half a year was lower down. That's why the company kind of dropped in price recently as well. Even though the earnings was pretty good, they made it better than expected, but still the share price dropped down, and that was done because of lower projection level. Now, also there is a high possibility of new competitors moving from different industries. We have to understand it as well. And like a few years back, YouTube was just this video where people put in themselves. At the moment, YouTube selling the products, so it becomes a competition for other streaming services. Also, I wouldn't be surprised if companies like Facebook can introduce something like that, or Microsoft or Apple, other huge companies, they can easily add something like that to their own services, and in this case, they are going to compete with other businesses. All right, so we have to understand that as well. Now, and another thing also, that recession can affect different companies in different ways. So when we're going to look at our Comcast, so you will see how they performed during 2008 crisis, during GFC, and how they performed during last crisis, during the pandemic. So it was a different effect of different type of problems, okay, political and environmental, I would say, problem, right? And you're going to see that different companies, they can be affected in a different way. So it is very important to understand. So if you're trying to invest in certain industry, you need to understand that at the moment it's not so many companies which can be very, very niche, like niche product. Usually they have products which can be applicable to different industries. All right. So what I've done, I went to research in Valuline and done screening. So I used cable TV as an industry, and you can see that only 13 companies there. So it's not huge industry. After that, I put parameters of growth, and everywhere I put from 5%. So the past performance from 5% up to whatever limit, right? So earnings and sales, and also projected earnings 3 to 5 years, also over 5%. And as you can see, out of 13 companies, only 2 companies left. And then I put PE ratio between 5 and 20. And you can see that there are 2 companies, one of them CMCSA, right, cable TV, and another CHTR. And if you look at straight away, you can see that the difference in them, that CHTR, it's actually growing in a much faster pace. But PE ratio is also much higher, so it's close to 19, where PE ratio for Comcast is only 11. Like, it's even lower than here. It's 11.9, it says here, but if you calculate it, it probably would be lower. Right? But again, the growth rate is slower here. And so definitely recommend to look at this particular company as well. At the moment, it's not technically in a good position. So that's why I chose Comcast for today's masterclass.